Hey, how's it going everybody? My name is NGS and thank you so much for clicking on the video. I just got back from seeing the early Thursday showing of Walt Disney Pictures' third adaptation of The Jungle Book. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't joking. I actually had to think about how many times I've seen Jungle Book from Walt Disney. And not just Walt Disney, there have been so many adaptations of this book throughout the years. Funny enough, there's actually a completely separate Jungle Book movie coming out from Warner Brothers in 2018. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Christian Bale. Andy Serkis is involved, so hey, I'll probably see it. But yeah, we got a lot of Jungle Book stuff going on. That's pretty crazy. So this, I guess you can call this, is the next installment of the Disney Cinematic Extended Remake Universe. I gotta find a good abbreviation for that because it's continuing a trend of what Disney's been doing. Ever since, I want to say, Maleficent is what really kicked things off. Walt Disney Company has been basically remaking, reimagining, adapting all of their classic stories. And not necessarily the stories as they were originally told, but the Disney variants of them. We saw it with Maleficent, we saw it with Cinderella. Oh, heck, even going back a couple years ago, we had it with Alice in Wonderland, and even that is getting a sequel. There are so many of these coming out of the woodwork, and now we have Jungle Book. And strangely enough, it doesn't stop, because we got Peter Pan, we got Pan the Dragon, a Genie prequel, and dare I say it, a Winnie the Pooh movie. Live action. Yeah. But we're here to talk about Jungle Book. So, what is it about Jungle Book that made me want to go see it? I mean, I'm a dude who loves Disney movies, but as a person who's self-professed not the biggest fan of all of these remake spin-off imaginings they've been doing, what prompted me to see this movie? Well, to be honest, it's what I saw in the debut trailer. What they were capturing, the tone for this film, is something that I definitely wanted to see if they were ever going to remake The Jungle Book. Now, I want to preface this review, as always, there are going to be no spoilers whatsoever. So if you're interested in this movie, I'm not going to spoil it. I will put up an indication later on when I want to talk about things that can be deemed spoiler-esque. Basically, for me, if it's something that isn't shown in the trailer, then it is kind of spoiler territory. First and foremost, I want to say this. If you're going into this movie expecting it to be a beat-for-beat remake of the 1967 Walt Disney animated feature, do not expect that. Do not at all, because this movie, oh my god, it's so similar to the Disney classic, but at the same time, it's so different. I've been talking to a lot of people who've actually read the original novel, the original work of The Jungle Book, and a lot of people have told me that the Disney version, surprise, surprise, has strayed away from the source material. But this one right here, from what I've read of those particular works, this one is more true to that story. This is a very serious movie. And by serious, I don't want to sell this as a dark and gritty reboot like a lot of things are nowadays. No, this movie from the get-go, it establishes everything about the world. It establishes the animal kingdom, the jungle, if you will. It shows you that there are these different factions, there are these different groups, there are people who just don't get along. And one of the best parts about this movie is the performances by these top-notch actors. Now, more often than not, when I see a animated movie is coming out and it features the vocal work of A-lister celebrities, I tend to get kind of scared because more often than not, they're trying to sell these actors on their name. There have been many times we've seen that happen before, and even professional voice actors in the industry have voiced their dismay at this sort of thing. You know, people can be great actors, great on-screen camera actors, but they can't transition into the work of voice acting. I mean, if you want to take a recent example, James Spader as Ultron. Yeah, nah. This is not the case with this movie. The performances in this film are simply incredible. From Idris Elba to Bill Murray, Ben Kingsley, there's so much great work all around. Like, they are living, breathing incarnations of these characters. And that was something that they definitely could have messed up. They could have got these characters all wrong. They could have just picked the voice actors to sell, but no, everybody's believable from the second they are on screen. And I want to take some time to give my man, Uncle Idris Elba, some props here, because this dude made Shere Khan, in the first 10 seconds that you see him, a terrifying villain. This man deserves more work. If it's just voice acting work, if it's on camera work, someone's got to snatch this man up. Because I like to call it the Frieza effect. He's able to inspire so much fear with so little effort. And throughout the course of this movie, he just keeps getting better and better and better and better. He was honestly my favorite part about the entire film. Same thing goes for the other voice actors. Bill Murray breathes great life into Baloo, Ben Kingsley as Bagheera, and of course Christopher Walken as King Louie. Everybody does a great friggin' job on that front. Another awesome thing that I really loved in this film was the CGI work. That was something that I was kind of skeptical on in the trailer, because in the trailer for the movie, you know, when you first see the CGI, it just looks too much like CGI. I was kind of worried that it would be too cartoony the way they're going to transition it with the live actor. It's not the case in this movie. This is some of the best, to be honest, I'll say this, the best stuff in the industry. There were so many times where I was looking to myself thinking, are these real animals that they animated the mouth flaps to, or CGI? It was so confusing because there's so much detail going on with this, from the lighting to the water when it splashes on them to when Mowgli interacts with them. This is some top-notch stuff. And I was reading up on the movie afterwards. Apparently Weta Digital was involved with it, so of course it's going to be top-notch. So if you're going into this movie, you are going to be floored by the visual effects. I actually saw it in IMAX 3D, so that just kind of immersed me even more in the experience. But the CGI work is definitely something that literally can sell this movie to people who don't even care about it. Like, you just go into this and you're just going to be floored by the rich detail in the interactions. Another really awesome thing was how everything just gelled. Everything flowed together, from the story going from one scene to another scene, the dialogue, everything just flowed great. And I want to give some props to the boy who portrayed Mowgli in this film. I have a big problem with child actors, as I'm sure a lot of you guys do. In most cases, they can be kind of cringeworthy and you're just sitting through them, especially if they're in horror movies. But this guy, I mean, he was serviceable. He did what he was supposed to do. And I mean, hey, you got to give some child actors some leeway. But overall, I think he definitely carried the Mowgli, what's the term I'm looking for? He definitely, they passed the torch to him, if you want to use a corny phrase. Now, I want to go back to some of the differences that exist in this movie, because there are some. I mean, beat for beat, you can definitely say that, hey, you know, I saw the animated film, I'm probably going to see the same thing with this. And to an extent, yes, certain parts about the story are going to be retold. That's just a given. But it's the way that they're done. Very, very key differences. There are a lot of characters that didn't appear in the animated classic, and there are a lot of characters from the animated classic that do not appear in this. And it kind of lends itself well to the difference in tone. Now, the Jungle Book still has its humor. It has, you know, Baloo in there, obviously. Like, it's got good dialogue that'll definitely make you laugh, but not as much as the animated classic, which to some people, it can be a turnoff. But like I said, going back to the original works, it was a lot darker. It was a lot more serious in tone, and they definitely went into some really nitty-gritty stuff. Like, I'll just say this, the characters are more connected than they were in the animated classic in terms of like the way they do the narrative structure, right? So on that front, it is a lot more darker. And another character who, I guess, like I said, if you watch the anime classic, going into this, just forget what you know. The character of King Louie. If you got a very different vibe from him in the trailer, yeah, it's kind of warranted, because King Louie, well, he's still King Louie, but he's kind of terrifying in a sense, which I'm sure a lot of you guys got from the trailer. But going back to certain things, like I said, it feels a lot more realistic. It feels a lot more like it hits at home more. I guess they sacrificed some of the humor that they had and quips for in the animated movie, and they just created a more heartfelt film. And that's what I really enjoyed about this movie. Like, it checked all of the boxes that I was looking forward to if they were going to do a Jungle Book film. Now, I will say this, though. They definitely do leave it up for sequel bait. I mean, it's not like there's any obnoxious sequel bait. But you watch the end of this movie, and you're going to think to yourself, you could actually do another story with these characters, which is what I think Disney is going to do. The film has been getting critical praise and is projected to make a lot of money over the next couple of weeks, so there's definitely going to be a sequel coming. But I gotta say that this movie as a whole did a lot of things right, and I'm glad that my expectations were met. Especially considering if they go forward with this, I would love for them to do more stories with the other characters like Bagheera and like Baloo, because from the stuff that I have read, the original works of the Jungle Book, they do have a lot more backstory, and it creates a more dynamic relationship between Mowgli and his animal companions. So if they were to do that in a future film, I would definitely love that. But it's definitely a solid return to form for Jon Favreau, who's been kind of slipping as of late. I haven't seen a good movie from him since Iron Man 1, and that was almost 10 years ago. But I have heard some good things about his last one, which I think was Chef. But this is great. It's a good return to form for blockbuster Jon Favreau. And that's all I wanted out of the movie. So Jungle Book is worth checking out if you love the story, if you want to see a new interpretation that is familiar but different at the same time. Oh, and I will say this, though. This is where we're going to dip into the spoiler territory. The songs do exist in the movie. They do. The Bare Necessities is told. I Want to Be Like You is told. But they don't really... I feel like if you took them out of the movie, it would have been just fine. I feel like it worked for the animated version, but in this one, they kind of put it in as an afterthought. You're watching in this movie, and it does not feel as animated. The characters are just singing it, and it's just... Oh, that's lame. Like, you remember how hyped you were when you were watching I Want to Be Like You and getting so hyped at hearing that song, the various different remixes and remakes they've had, from Fall Out Boy to even the Jonas Brothers. In this movie, it's just spoken through dialogue, and it's kind of lame, to say the least. That was probably my least favorite part of the movie, is what they did with the songs. And even Ka's song, that's not in the movie. It's actually in a post. It's played during the end of the film where the credits are rolling. But they did get Scarlett Johansson to sing that, so that was pretty cool, I guess. But yeah, that was the Jungle Book, ladies and gentlemen. My name is NGS. Thank you so much for tuning in. What is your favorite animated Disney classic? Let me know down below in the comment section. From me to you for now, I will catch you guys later. Peace.